Welcome to For the Health of It. I'm your host, Corian K. Paget, and this is your number one source for all things sports, health, and fitness related.
Oh, hold on, Coach. What does For the Health of It stand for?
Good question, Austin. The four and For the Health of It stands for our four principles, which are mindset, movement, nutrition, and recovery.
Okay, cool. Let's do it for the health of it then.
Man, 2021 has been a crazy, hectic year. For the Health of It was nominated for two award shows, uh, the Black Podcasting Awards and the People Choice Awards for podcasts. So, as you may be able to tell by that earlier sound, I am now a proud father to a new, beautiful baby girl. And that put a little, change in the plans. At the start of this year, I was planning on releasing a new episode every week. But being a new parent, uh, it's different. It definitely put a halt to those plans. But I appreciate each and every one of you for listening to this show. Thank you so much. And now, without further ado, let's get into this new episode. Welcome to another edition of For the Health of It. I'm your host, Corian K. Paget. And today I have with me Angel Valentine. Angel is the owner and operator of Phoenix Physical Therapy and Wellness. Angel, thank you so much for coming on with us today.
You are very welcome. Thank you for having me.
All right. Well, I forgot to say it, but using our context proves. I know I have some smart listeners out there. Obviously, she owns Phoenix Physical Therapy and Wellness. She is a physical therapist, so it's a major shout out to you, Angel.
Thank you.
All right. So, tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you get started into physical therapy and all that?
Okay. Well, like you said, my name is Angel, and I own Phoenix Physical Therapy and Wellness. That is in Raleigh, North Carolina, where I'm from and where I currently reside. And I've been a therapist for 20 years. This will be my 21st year coming up here in May. So I graduated from Winston-Salem State University. I'm a proud HBCU alum. And when I graduated, you only had to have a bachelor's for physical therapy. So it was time ago. And now it's a doctorate, I believe, or a master's. I'm not sure if they completely transitioned. I do have a daughter. She's 15 years old, and her being a dancer kind of helped lead my physical therapy career into the direction where I specialize in rehabilitation and training for dancers and performing artists. So I realized that there was a need there, and I can never take my dance mom or my mom hat off. So that just kind of came up as well. Let's see. I don't know. What else? What else do you want to know?
So yeah, just tell me. I know you're pretty young, so go ahead and tell me your background all the way. Like when did you decide that you wanted to go to Winston-Salem? When did you decide that you wanted to do physical therapy? And what drove you to?
Okay. Hmm.
And what drove you to physical therapy?
Okay. So I don't know if everybody is so clear, but I've always been one to really think in the future. So I think you were telling me that, you encourage, younger people to watch your podcast. So this is really speaking directly to them. I know a lot of people are like, I don't know what I want to do and things like that. It's never too early to start thinking about that and kind of like putting together a draft. You can always change it, right? Mm-hmm. So I was always around athletes. I love football, of course. Girls didn't play football 25 years ago. So I would be like the manager or student athletic trainer.
Right.
And I would do that for the track team as well. So I think that was kind of like the first time being around that sports management type of career.
Right.
And so at 15, my sophomore year is when I started thinking about what I wanted to do. I thought I was going to be like a biology major. At one point in time, I wanted to be a marine biologist. And I grew up right down the street from NC State. So being in North Carolina, I got NC State 5 minutes from my house, UNC Chapel Hill, Duke, North Carolina Central, just a plethora of colleges and universities around me. So I think that was something that was always, in my head. What am I going to go to school for?
Right.
So at 15 is when in high school, that's when hopefully your teachers and counselors start talking to you about, really thinking about it. And they start putting, kind of, I don't know, having you do these tests and figure out like at least what is general. I
Right.
always say what building you want to be in on the college campus. You
Right.
don't want to go and be like, I don't know what. You at least want to know what building you want to be in, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I somehow I would think somehow, how did I get into healthcare? I think I got into healthcare just by being on the field with athletes and realizing that I was really good at making them feel better physically. So what I mean by that is, especially like football and track, there was a lot of cramping and a lot of like helping people stretch out, things like that. So I was always hands-on with that stuff. So I thought about being a doctor, didn't want to be a doctor. And I had my reasons, because I felt like when I went to the doctor, they were always in and out.
Right.
And so that's not what I wanted. I thought about a nurse, and in my mind at that time, don't think think like this now, but I felt like they were assistants to doctors, and I felt like they didn't get any respect.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like they were number two, and that's not me. So at that time I was like, okay, I can't do that. I did see physician's assistants and thought about that. But how did I get somehow I ended up with my mentor, or finding out about physical therapy. I probably was just researching it in the library.
Okay.
And I went to a local sports physical therapy center and just to volunteer. And that's where I met my mentor, who was an athletic trainer. So then I wanted to be an athletic trainer, right?
Right.
And he was like, no, you're not going to be an athletic trainer, because he said, you're going to be a physical therapist. He said, when you look around, the people making the most money and the people making all the decisions are physical therapists. And he was saying, and if you also look around, none of them look like us. So he had a unique position where he had been athletic trainer for a really long time, right? So he had more clout than the average athletic trainer. He ran departments. So I followed him from my sophomore year, junior year, senior year. He knew the athletic trainer at Winston-Salem State. He sent me over there. Hey, this is what Angel's doing, but she's going to go into the physical therapy program. And, if you speak life into kids, when you look at a kid and you say, I see this for you, it holds a lot of weight. So he taught me what physical therapy was and how I could still get that kind of involvement in the sports world that I always liked without being an athletic trainer. And I went to Winston-Salem State. And at Winston, it was it's HBCU, and you had UNC Chapel Hill, ECU, and Elon College with those degrees. So a lot of people were saying, you don't want to go to a HBCU. They just got accredited. They won't hold any weight. And I didn't let that get to me. I wanted Winston-Salem State because I had never been in a classroom or educational setting where I was in the majority.
Right.
And at 17 and 18 years old, I still had the sense to know that, I never felt like an education that you got from Black people was lesser than an education that you could get from white people. So I always had this little militant part of me,
Mm-hmm.
So I went to Winston-Salem State, and I got exactly what I was looking for. I got a small community. My teachers knew me by name. I was welcome in their office, all of that good stuff, right?
Right.
So in your sophomore year, you usually claim a degree, right? Claim your major. And physical therapy is not like that. So I knew what courses I had to take to to meet the requirements. I knew what GPA I had to maintain to meet the requirements. But at the middle of my sophomore year, you had to interview with the physical therapy department.
Okay.
You had to have 40 plus contact hours of volunteer. Now, remember, I've been volunteering since I was 15, so I had that. You had to have a 3.5 GPA. You had to have recommendations. So I went forward with that. And again, the benefit of having a mentor, every time I thought, this is crazy, I had him in my corner like, yep, it is, but this is what we're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
And he was also the head athletic trainer at St. Augustine's College and Shaw University. So I was getting a lot of,
Nice.
Mm-hmm. So I was getting a lot of FaceTime, or whatever. So that's what I did. I think I had a 3.5, 3.6 my sophomore year. I had all of the requirements. He put me in contact with certain people. I knocked out my interview. 237 people applied. 27 of us got in. 17 of us graduated. At the time, I'm going to say out of the 237 that applied, there was 10 of us that were traditional students. I was 18 years old. Everybody else was on their second and third career. They had families and mortgages and all of that stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I did that, and PT school is hard. It's hard. And my anatomy courses were my science courses in the PT department were at Bowman Gray Medical Center with the medical students. So we did a cadaver lab. I had to dissect human cadaver. I had to do all of that stuff, right?
Oh.
And it did take me an extra year to get through. So it should have taken me my freshman and sophomore year, then get into the program, and then graduate my senior year. So I took one extra year, right? So after that, I graduated. I went back and started working with my mentor. I got a job as a therapist. I think 2 years later, I was managing outpatient physical therapy company. I orchestrated a deal in Fayetteville with the NBDL, the Basketball Developmental League.
Okay.
And then I want to say fast forward 6 or 7 years, I had my daughter, and I kept with outpatient ortho, but that's when I transitioned more into geriatrics because the nursing home setting is just much more flexible. And I wasn't getting on buses and traveling with teams and things like that. So I was giving that a pause, and that's how I ended up with the geriatric population, where I never wanted to be, mind you. I never wanted to be with old folks. Never. But the old folks are hilarious, and my best stories come from them. My best lessons in life come from them. So with my ortho and sports background, I never dropped that. So I always train and rehab my geriatric population the same way I do anybody else.
Right.
So I don't give them a break. I give them a hard time all of the time, So I've been doing that for 20 years. And for the last 10 years, I have been working primarily for myself. I pick up contracts that I negotiate, and I provide physical therapy services for different companies, different organizations, and things like that. And so this is my first full official year as Phoenix. And we were supposed to move into a physical building back in March, but I put that on hold. And so
good deal.
Yep.
Good deal on that. So yeah, tell me why the name Phoenix, and then also tell me why you wanted to get that entrepreneurial spirit. Tell me all that.
So Phoenix is specifically because, I mean, it's a long story, but you asked for it, how I ended up as a therapist, right? Because I get that most people don't know what they want to do when they're 15. I get it. But outside of being a therapist and just like being a human, I've gone through a lot in my life personally. Mm-hmm. But I really don't even think about myself that much. What I know is that when my patients come in the door, regardless of whether it's a wrist sprain, an ankle sprain, a stroke, heart attack. Everybody thinks their life is over. Everybody verbalizes to me that their life is over, you know? And I have to show them, number one, that it's not. You're still breathing. And through their journey, they reinvent themselves. They are reborn, and they are able to do things that they didn't think they were going to be able to do again. So I felt like the Phoenix was in honor of my patients, because they're going through what I call a Phoenix moment. And I tell them that, part of, being in therapy, you got to be the Phoenix. A Phoenix is a mythological creature,
Right.
that at the end of its life cycle, it bursts into flames.
Mm-hmm.
And out of those flames, it is reborn again into a bigger and more brilliant, beautiful bird. And so I have to go through this with every patient and let them know that at the end of this, you've come to a crossroads where you feel like you're at the end of your life cycle, whatever that is.
Right.
But it's not over. And, you're going to be in this low moment, and you're going to burst into flames, and you're going to come back bigger and better. And that's where I pulled that name from.
I like it. As soon as you started saying, as soon as your clients come in, I'm like, oh, it's like a rebirth, like the actual Phoenix. I love it. Good deal. Okay. So what's up with the building now? I know you were planning on, I know 2019, you were probably planning, all right, March 2020, we're getting this building, but Corona, COVID-19. So what's the plans now with the building?
So the plans now, and I'm gonna let you know, like, for people watching, I wasn't, I was scared and everything else, like, uncertain, like everybody else. But I also looked at it as, this is time to keep grinding and keep hustling and go into it, just be ready when it comes out. So the last I heard, the bank didn't want to move forward with any major loans. And the building is going to be built.
Okay.
So they are going to move forward. Instead of opening in February, I think they're going to move forward. Everything will be finalized in February, and then building will start, and we're looking at moving in August. Okay. So that's where we are. And in the meantime, I've pivoted and trying to get onto this telehealth thing, which is hard because I'm a very hands-on therapist. But I do the best that I can.
Okay. Yeah. So let's pivot there and tell us, how has business been going for you since March of 2020?
So I always maintain kind of like PRN work for somebody else, usually at a nursing home, in addition to my contract. So everything has slowed down. When COVID started, I'm in the healthcare field. Everybody I work with is in the healthcare field. Right. So unlike a lot of other industries, we can listen to news reports and hear people like Dr. Fauci talk, and it means something more than just what it means to the average person, I guess. So a lot of us shut down voluntarily. We did not need anybody to tell us to do that. So, just trying to reach out and reach out to people who need it and work through the telehealth. It's been hard. I'm not even gonna make any bones about it. I can't sit here and say, we're doing well. Nope. We're have slowed down with accepting new patients, but it is still a period where we can see growth, and there are things that we can do. There are services that we can offer. So as a physical therapist, I've had clients that have been dealing with a lot of headache and neck pains and shoulder pain, and they're really not realizing that it's because they've had to work from home for the last several months. And so their workstation at home is not set up like it is at work. And so I can hop on a video and have them show me their space and look at, their posture and things like that, and give them advice and work with them like that. So I've been trying to meet people where they are and provide help where I can, and just continue to work on kind of the back end. There's a lot of back end work to open in a building,
Mm-hmm.
and just continue to work on that and move forward.
Okay. Okay. Uh, good deal, good deal. So, my next question is: you mentioned being a dance mom, and you work now with a lot of dancers. Tell me about that experience.
Um, it's been eye-opening and exciting. So, one of the first things that I noticed when my daughter started dancing is these girls go hard. Okay. Um, they really make things look beautiful and graceful and easy, and it is not. Whether you are 6 years old and you barely weigh 50 pounds, or you're 16 years old and you're at 110 pounds, you're still balancing on the tips of your toes or leaping through the air and doing all kinds of things, and you're stretching your body out in ways that it just was not designed to stretch out. And you got to make it look good at the same time. There's a lot of strength needed and flexibility required, right? So ankle sprains, back sprains, wrist, and neck. I started noticing that the kids were having these complaints.
Mm-hmm.
So once I started it's really hard as a therapist to watch that and not say anything. So I'm offering advice and letting people know, you can come to me for advice and things like that. So that's kind of how Dance Mom fit back into that, because I also noticed that when they go to the doctor will put them in like an air cast or a boot,
Mm,
or give them Motrin and tell them to sit out. First of all, dancers don't sit out.
right.
Let me tell you what happens. They come in on their crutches. All the girls come around. They hug them. They love them. All of the girly things you expect, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then they're not allowed to just rehab at home. They still have to come to practice. And what they do is they help their dancer buddies by critiquing them. You could do this better, such and such and such. So 5 minutes they're sitting on the floor resting. The next 5 minutes they're standing up helping. The next 5 minutes they're dancing again.
Right.
So
Right.
I realized that they were being mismanaged. You can't manage dancers and performing artists like that. I realized that doctors don't treat them the same way they do an 8-year-old baseball phenom, or football. They don't do it. They don't even refer them out to outpatient orthopedics. They just simply band-aid it and send them on their way. So it has been a very eye-opening journey, and that's where I decided I wanted to step in, so that they would have somebody who knows what they go through and can provide unique therapy and services for them. Because dancers are unique. They have to be really flexible and strong. Usually you don't want those two. You don't want somebody with a floppy ankle or
Right.
that has excessive mobility in their back. You don't want that. You want to tighten that down. But dancers and performers are the opposite. They have to be really strong and flexible at the same time. So it's a unique thing there.
Okay. I just want to segue a little bit. It's been wonderful hearing your background, but I got some educational questions also. Can you tell me about the six deep external rotators, and then also PNF,
Are you serious right now?
if you can, or if not, I know I didn't prepare you for
You
it.
absolutely did not. Your deep external rotators, your hips 6,
Yes, ma'am.
your hips, shoulders, glutes. Oh, you're talking about muscles?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay. External rotators. You got various ones in your hips.
Yeah, tell me the ones in the hip.
In your hip, I believe we're gonna go with piriformis, a couple of glutes. Um, I can see it. I can't think of what it is.
Look at you working. I see it. Hey, that's you hit the main two I wanted to hear. Because I can't tell you off the top of my head, and I didn't even write them down. This just came to me as you were talking. I was like, man, ask her. But nah.
Nobody asked me about external rotators. It's usually, and then I usually do lay time. So I'm thinking your hip external rotators,
Right.
and then you're gonna have some glutes. You got your piriformis back there, but everybody always talks about your flexors and extensors, and you got your iliopsoas, your hamstrings, your quads, and your thoracolumbar. Your low back will pull into some external rotators as well.
Right. All right. All right.
Quads, yeah.
Now that you hit the piriformis, which is one of the main ones I always talk about. So now that's good. That's good. What about PNF?
PNF techniques?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
What about them?
Tell me a little bit about them.
I don't really go into PNF techniques unless, for me, it's a lot of stroke rehabilitation, and it's basically talk about movement patterns. And so what you don't want to get caught up in is straight, movement patterns in straight planes. You don't want to get stuck in just forward, back, side to side, and left and right. So what PNF techniques and patterns do is it's more, you can think of it, a lot of people are talking about functional movement patterns now. Mm-hmm. So you're thinking about, kind of like your rotation at the trunk, and you're going to come around and you're going to adduct, and then you're going to externally rotate, extend, and externally rotate and extend. Mm-hmm. And then you're going to flex and internally rotate and abduct. Adduction is the other one. So your PNF techniques pulls in your neuromuscular facilitation and into your neuro into your muscular, and pull it into a neuromuscular facilitation and help you incorporate your movement patterns in a more natural and functional way.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. Hey, I just wanted to see if I could catch you off guard, and I did not.
You did. I tell people I purposefully don't use certain terms and terminology because it goes over my patients' heads, right, and it's not necessary. So I'm usually breaking it down and making it make sense to them. Right. So.
Okay. Hey, that works though. That works. You made it work. I like it. So my next question is, do you consider yourself an inspiration?
I try to be an inspiration to my daughter.
Okay.
I do that. I know that I do that on purpose.
Okay.
I don't really see it or pay attention to it outside of that. But like I said at the beginning, where you have to purposefully speak life into children, that's something that I've just, it's on my radar. It's not something that is passive in my world. So for my daughter, I'm constantly trying to be an inspiration for her. And even in my failures, and even in where I missed the mark, I try to make sure that we can make that a teachable moment and inspire her to not always do better. I think that's a lot of stress on kids, to be better than I am, but I try to inspire her things like just keep moving, or, just keep going and don't give up, and things like that. I hope that I'm an inspiration to others, but I wouldn't be one to put that on myself.
Okay. All right. No, that works. Well, since you won't put it on you, I'll put it on you for you. And I hope I don't add any unnecessary and undue stress. You are an inspiration. Just listening to your story and looking at you. Like you said at the start, your mentor said there's not many out there at that time, and even now, that look like us, and especially you as a Black woman. So now you're definitely an inspiration to little Black girls and little Black boys, even myself as a full-grown Black man. So I appreciate you on that. Thank you so much for all that you do. And then one more, it also popped up while we were talking. You talked about dance moms. Have you ever seen any of the TV shows that are they on Lifetime? Dance Moms?
I don't know. I don't remember what that I don't remember what channel that was.
Okay, so Dance Moms, and then what's the other one? It actually takes place here in Jackson, Mississippi. Bring It with the dancing
Oh,
dolls.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, do you? Oh, you look like you knew that one.
Well, I know them both,
Oh,
but yeah.
okay. All right. I just want to see. Is real life like the art? Because I know television is an art, so I just want to see if there's any simulation to it or similarities to it.
The one bring is called Bring It, you said?
I think so.
I don't think if there are dance troops like that here in Raleigh, I'm not aware of them.
Okay.
Um, I think that's almost like a culture and a genre in and of itself.
Right.
So I'm not aware of any like that. But if you're talking about maybe the dynamics, the other ones I think was actually filmed in Greensboro, North Carolina, which is not far from here.
Okay.
So when my daughter first started, that was the question that I had for the dance studios as well. So I let it be known that if I had to deal with any um, blatant, things like that, that we couldn't be there. So my daughter is a stereotypical Black girl. She is curvy in all of the great places. She is not, she's never going to be stick thin. I'm not having conversations with her about her weight or not eating enough and things like that. So that was a conversation I had with all the dance studios. So in our studios, no, it's not anything that I've seen, and that's not really talking about Bring It, because I've only really seen like
Right.
bits and pieces of that one, but the other one we
Right.
used to watch a lot when she
Right.
was younger. So usually, the competition is on the stage, not in the dance studio.
Mm.
Um, but in the dance studio, I mean, it's just like any other sport. It's there, but they are very supportive of each other and very, complimenting and pushing each other to do their best. So I try to make sure we don't have, any negativity or anything like that going on. So
Cool. Cool. I like it. I like it. And Angel, thank you so much for being on here with us. Before we get you out of here, if you could please plug all your businesses and all your social media.
Facebook, we are just Phoenix Physical Therapy and Wellness Center. You can, I think on the page, you can hit the contact now button. So I offer free discovery calls and consultations to anyone to see if the services that we offer would be good for you and if it is a good option for telehealth. And if you're local in the area and you need hands-on, we can schedule that. And it's Phoenix Raleigh on Instagram. And my email is admin@phoenixraleigh.com.
All right, cool. Again, Angel, thank you so much for coming on with us. This has been another episode of For the Health of It, and I'm your host, Corian K. Paget. Thank you for listening.